Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook along with Garrett Toay with AgTraderTalk. And we did see mostly higher prices in grain and livestock futures trade on Wednesday. Garrett, let's talk about corn and soybeans. We did see higher prices there. Most of that, is that technical in nature just because we were so oversold? Are we just seeing some short covering there?
It is. I think we're at some key levels. I don't think that D's Corn really wants to get too far away from 475. We traded down to 469. That's the week's lows. Maybe ran some stops under there and then bounced back. That was a nice little reversal. The fact that we've had 2-day rally, we still are in this 469 down to 487 and a half type range. I'd like to see it close above 483 before we see any sort of follow through or before the shorts really get too nervous in here. Not that I really think the shorts are nervous because it's harvest. If it was the 1st of October, October 5th, somewhere in there, I'd be more inclined to be willing to call a seasonal low. It feels like everybody and their brother is wanting to call a seasonal low, but with harvest only 10% complete, it's a little bit early for that, but it's something that we're watching that's on our radar.
Soybeans actually took out the 200-day moving average this week, but held the 100-day moving average, the $13 mark. How long do we hold that, though, with harvest here looming?
It's a very good question. I mean, I still think of anything that these are good prices relative to corn, and if the farmer had a choice or is forced to do something, they're more willing to sell soybeans. That being said, both corn carriers and bean carriers are widening out here because of the river. Freight took another spike higher, and that put cash delivery break-evens weaker here. We have the carriers are trading, historically wide, much wider than they were at this point last year when we had a similar type rivers type situation. It's noticeable that the interior basis is not nearly as firm as what it was this point last year. Some of that might be timing. The river issues seem to hit a little bit earlier this year than what it did last year. That last year happened in October, but the market's trying to discourage selling, and that's why I don't think I'm going to get too excited about a board rally for next week or two, just because of that until we see improved river conditions.
And the market is still trying to kind of discern how big this crop is or where yields are at. Do you think we're getting bigger or smaller?
I don't know if we're getting bigger. Some of these bean yields have been fairly impressive, but they're early beans. And when you've got a yield network, you have to be a little bit careful if there's not cherry picking out there. But that being said, I think what I've seen enough on corn yields, and it's still early. I mean, we're only 10% harvested, but from what I've seen, I think I'm fairly confident that the worst type of sub type corn yields I think are off the table. I'm not going to deviate too far from where the USDA is at this point. There may be some small upward adjustments, but like I said, that's at this point, and we have a long ways to go as far as harvest is concerned.
Corn looked like it got a little help from the wheat market too, but wheat, what do you think there? Is that market going anywhere? I mean, we're not very far from contract lows, but we still don't seem to be able to generate much demand at these levels.
We're close, but the Russian wheat is getting expensive. I'd actually disagree a little bit. I mean, the fact that yesterday and today corn gained on wheat in the middle of corn harvest, that was kind of an impressive thing. So I do think that that's not very typical. U.S. wheat, we've seen China in the market. That's going to be a key to things. China bought French wheat last week. I think you're going to see some of these type deals where Korea bought Australian wheat and then they're tendering for U.S. wheat for blend quality or for blending reasons. I think that U.S. wheat is close, but obviously freight is the biggest issue. The Russian prices continue to firm, which is supportive to the wheat complex overall. Case in point, today's gas tender. Bulgarian wheat was originally the cheapest offered. Romanian wheat was negotiated down. They traded 470, 472, I think. 372 on the tender, and 272. And then that's basically right where the Russian floor is set. And there's talk that they're going to increase that next month. So I think that that's going to be supportive to wheat at these prices, but we need to get the flat price around the $6. And you have to keep in mind too is that we have a VSR observation period that's taking place right now for the December March, as far as whether they're going to increase storage rates or keep them the same.
Yeah. We also had the Fed decision today. It looks like they're going to stay with steady rates here for at least this month. Was that a surprise to anyone?
I don't think so. Most of the market trackers that I follow were looking, I think it was like a 99%. The handicappers were saying it was like a 99% chance that interest rates are going to remain unchanged. I think the next caveat is that the November report is where we're going to look for an interest rate hike. But, these inflation numbers last month came in a little bit hotter. I mean, obviously, we're not out of the woods yet as far as inflation is concerned. And we've got crude back above $90 for the first time in over a year. So, the ag markets are somewhat insulated from the inflation trade, but it's happening elsewhere.
Yeah, and that energy market is going to make it a pretty tough situation here for the Fed to curb inflation going forward, it seems like.
It's a tough situation. It's a tough situation for the farmer too, because keep an eye on these diesel prices. Diesel prices have been rallying considerably. I think if you're sitting as a producer, you want to stay on try to keep full basis as far as your tanks are concerned, because distillate stocks are relatively tight. We have a couple refiners that they're going to go down into the year end, and I think that you need to keep those diesel prices under control.
Impressive comeback in the cattle after key reversal and, kind of a lower start here today. Boy, we ended pretty decent, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and we closed up over $1 on the front end. Even the deferreds are firmer. Even feeder cattle, the entire meat complex as a whole is firmed. We've seen it before. We've seen it again. We have a cattle on feed at the end of the week. And I don't think we're going to do anything before that. The uptrend still remains here, and the market cash otherwise seems to be digesting, these higher prices fairly well.
And funds really at this point don't have any reason not to defend their longs yet, do they?
Not really, if you want to talk about the Fed today, inflationary pressures, they're saying the right things that, implying a soft landing again. I mean, that's the biggest threat or biggest fear of a cattle producer is a major recession or worse. And so far we've withstood it. And I'm blame at that as well. I mean, for the last 12 months, I raised cattle, worried sick about a recession and what it's going to do to cattle prices. But I think it's also a testament to how tight things really are.
No doubt. What about this hog market? Let's end on that because an update today, we're up into the upper end of the trading range. Are we going to get above these resistance areas here?
Man, we're right on the edge here, looking higher to potentially fill these gaps, go back up to 90, 86.50. The last time we were at these levels were early August, first day of August to be exact. We're right here. I'm in a believe it when I see it type of mode with hogs. I've had my fingers burnt too many times there, thinking getting too optimistic at these highs. But one of these days we're going to do it, and if we get above this 86.50 level, then we'll move towards 88 to 89, 90 is the next level.
All right, we'll see if that happens. Thanks so much for joining us, Garrett Toay with AgTraderTalk. That is Markets Now.